Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Julia.
Hey everyone, we're so glad you're here. Today's episode is all about something that stops many English learners from making progress: the fear of speaking.
That's right. Many learners hesitate to speak because they're afraid of making mistakes. They think, what if I say something wrong? Or, what if people laugh at me?
But here's the truth: mistakes don't stop you from learning. Silence does. The only way to get better at speaking English is to start speaking now and improve later.
In today's episode, we're going to help you overcome this fear. We'll share practical tips, real-life success stories, and easy techniques to boost your confidence in speaking English.
So, whether you're a beginner or already learning English, this episode will give you the motivation and tools to start speaking without hesitation.
Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us for more helpful English learning tips. And if you find today's episode useful, don't forget to share it with a friend.
All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about the biggest reason why learners hesitate to speak: fear of making mistakes.
So, Julia, let's start with the big question. Why do so many English learners hesitate to speak?
Great question, Jason. The biggest reason is fear of making mistakes. Learners think, what if I say something wrong? Or what if people laugh at me?
Exactly. And because of that fear, they stay silent instead of practicing. But here's something important. Even native speakers make mistakes.
Yes, no one speaks perfectly all the time, not even you and me, Jason.
That's so true. But I get it. Many learners feel embarrassed when they struggle to find the right words.
And sometimes they think they need to have perfect grammar and vocabulary before they can start speaking.
But that's a big mistake. Imagine a baby learning to talk. Do they wait until they can speak in perfect sentences before they start talking?
Of course not. Babies start speaking first, and then they improve over time. The same applies to learning English.
Exactly. But some learners also hesitate because they feel shy or nervous when speaking in front of others.
That's right. And if they've had a bad experience, like someone correcting them too much or making fun of their accent, they might become even more afraid to speak.
That's why today's message is so important. We want our listeners to know it's okay to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process.
Yes, and here's a question for our listeners. Do you feel nervous when speaking English? What's your biggest fear? Think about it for a moment.
And if you do feel this way, don't worry. You're not alone. In the next part of our conversation, we'll explain why speaking first actually helps you learn faster. All right, now that we've talked about why learners hesitate to speak, let's move on to the big question. Why does speaking first help you improve faster?
Great question, Jason. Many learners think they need to study more grammar, more vocabulary, and more rules before they can start speaking. But that's not true. The fastest way to improve is to speak first and correct later.
Exactly. Think about how we learned our first language. We didn't sit down and study grammar books as babies. We just started talking.
Yes, and at first, babies make tons of mistakes, but they don't care. They keep talking, and over time, they improve.
That's why speaking early is so powerful. When you speak, your brain actively processes the language instead of just memorizing words.
Right. Speaking forces you to think in English instead of translating from your native language.
Let's compare two learners. Learner A studies English for 2 years, but never speaks. Learner B starts speaking from day one, even with mistakes. Who do you think will be better at speaking after 2 years?
Obviously, learner B, because they've been practicing the skill of speaking the whole time.
That's why speaking first is like learning to ride a bike. You don't read books about bicycles for 2 years before trying. You just get on the bike and start pedaling.
Exactly. And speaking is the same. The more you do it, the faster you improve.
Here's a real-life example. I once knew a student who studied English for years but never spoke because he was afraid of mistakes. Then he moved to an English-speaking country and had no choice but to speak every day. Guess what happened?
Let me guess, he improved super fast?
Yes! Within 6 months, his speaking skills improved more than in the last 5 years of studying.
That's proof that real practice beats silent learning.
So if you're listening right now and waiting for the perfect moment to start speaking, stop waiting. Just start talking today, even if it's not perfect.
Yes, and up next, we'll give you practical tips on how to speak without fear and start improving right away.
All right, now that we know speaking first helps you improve faster, let's talk about the next challenge: how to speak without fear.
Yes, fear is the biggest barrier for many English learners, but don't worry, we're going to give you practical tips to help you feel more confident when speaking.
Let's start with the first tip. Change your mindset about mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are steps to success.
Absolutely. Think of mistakes as a part of learning. If you never make mistakes, it means you're not challenging yourself enough.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. When native speakers hear you make a small mistake, they don't think, "Oh no, that person is bad at English." Instead, they think, "Wow, this person is learning a new language. That's impressive."
That's so true. Most people will actually respect you more for trying to speak in English.
All right, let's move to the second tip. Speak slowly and clearly. Many learners try to speak too fast because they think it sounds more fluent.
Yes, but speaking fast can actually make you more nervous and lead to more mistakes. It's better to speak slowly and clearly so people can understand you.
Great point. And that leads to the third tip. Practice speaking with yourself.
This is one of my favorite techniques. Talk to yourself in English when you're alone. Describe what you're doing, think in English, or even have a little conversation with yourself.
That sounds funny, but it really works. The more you hear yourself speaking English, the more comfortable you become.
Exactly. And that brings us to the fourth tip. Use simple sentences at first.
Yes, many learners try to use complex grammar, and when they can't find the right words, they freeze. But remember, simple is better.
Right. Instead of saying, I have been considering going to the supermarket, but I am uncertain if I have enough time, just say, I want to go to the supermarket, but I don't have much time.
That's a great example. And once you feel comfortable, you can start adding more details and complexity to your sentences.
Yes, and for our last tip, surround yourself with English as much as possible. Listen to English podcasts, watch movies, and try to think in English every day.
Exactly. The more English you hear, the easier it will be to speak naturally.
All right, let's do a quick recap. To speak without fear: 1. Change your mindset. Mistakes help you learn. 2. Speak slowly and clearly. No need to rush. 3. Practice speaking with yourself. Train your brain to think in English. 4. Use simple sentences first. Don't overcomplicate. 5. Surround yourself with English. Immerse yourself in the language.
That's right. If you follow these tips, you'll feel more confident speaking English. And in the next part, we'll talk about how to practice speaking every day, even if you don't have a partner. Now that we've talked about how to speak without fear, let's get into some real-life techniques to practice speaking every day. These techniques work even if you don't have a speaking partner.
Yes, the key to improving your speaking skills is consistent practice. So let's go over some of the best techniques learners can use.
All right, technique number 1, the talk to yourself method.
Oh, I love this one. It's simple. Just describe what you're doing throughout the day in English. For example, if you're making coffee, say out loud, I am making coffee. I am pouring water into the cup.
Exactly. And this helps your brain think in English instead of translating from your native language.
Yes. And here's a challenge for our listeners. Try to narrate your actions in English for 5 minutes every day. You'll be surprised how much this helps.
That's a great challenge. Now, technique number 2, shadowing.
This one is powerful. All you have to do is listen to a native speaker, like in a podcast or a movie, and repeat what they say immediately after, like an echo.
Right. It helps with pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency. You can even slow down the audio to make it easier.
And don't worry if you can't understand everything. Just focus on mimicking the sounds and flow of English.
That's an important point. Now, technique number 3, join online speaking groups.
Yes, there are so many online groups where you can practice speaking with others. Apps like Tandem, Hello Talk, or even language exchange groups on Zoom are great for finding speaking partners.
Exactly. And if you're nervous, start with voice messages first, then move to live conversations.
Good idea. Now, technique number 4, use the question and answer method.
I love this one. Just ask yourself simple questions and answer them. For example, ask, "What did I do today?" and then answer in English.
Right. Or use a list of common conversation questions and practice answering them out loud.
Yes, it's like preparing for real conversations so that when you talk to someone, you already know what to say.
Great. So, to recap: 1. Talk to yourself. Describe your actions in English. 2. Shadowing. Repeat what native speakers say. 3. Join online speaking groups. Find partners to practice with. 4th. Question and answer. Practice responding to common questions.
These techniques really work if you practice them every day. And in the next part, we'll discuss how to measure your progress so you stay motivated. Now, let's talk about something really important: overcoming challenges. Learning to speak English isn't always easy, and sometimes learners face frustration, self-doubt, or slow progress.
That's right. But don't worry. Challenges are a normal part of learning, and the key is knowing how to deal with them and keep going.
One big challenge is feeling stuck, like you're not improving. This can be frustrating.
Absolutely. But remember, progress isn't always fast or visible. Sometimes you're improving even when you don't realize it. The best way to overcome this is to track your progress.
Yes, record yourself speaking every 2 weeks. When you listen back, you'll notice small improvements in pronunciation, fluency, and confidence.
That's a great tip. Another challenge is fear of speaking with others. Many learners worry about being judged.
Right. But the truth is, most people don't care if you make mistakes. They just appreciate the effort you're making to communicate.
Exactly. And here's a tip. Start small. Talk to a friend, a tutor, or even a chatbot before jumping into full conversations.
Good advice. Another challenge is forgetting words while speaking.
That happens to everyone, even native speakers. The best way to handle it is to keep talking. Use simpler words or explain your idea in another way.
Yes, never stop speaking just because you forgot a word. Keep the conversation going.
So let's summarize how to overcome challenges. 1. Track your progress. Record yourself to see improvement. 2. Don't fear judgment. People appreciate your effort. 3. Start small. Practice with a friend or chatbot first. 4. Keep talking. If you forget a word, explain it another way.
Exactly. If you push through these challenges, you'll become a more confident English speaker. All right, we've covered a lot today. Now, let's put everything into action with a simple plan that learners can start using right now.
Yes, learning to speak first and improve later only works if you take action. So here's what you should do next.
Step 1. Make speaking a daily habit. Spend at least 5 to 10 minutes every day speaking out loud, whether it's talking to yourself, shadowing, or answering questions.
Step 2. Use real-life practice techniques. Try at least one technique from today's episode, like shadowing, speaking with a partner, or describing your actions.
Step 3. Record yourself once a week. This helps you track progress and stay motivated.
Step 4. Push past the fear. Don't wait until your English is perfect. Just speak now. Improve later.
That's right. And remember, mistakes are part of learning. Every time you speak, you get better.
Absolutely. So here's a challenge for all our listeners. Start speaking English today. Even if it's just one sentence, say it out loud.
Yes, take the first step and don't stop. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and soon you'll speak English with confidence.
You got this. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this helpful, subscribe to our podcast and share this with a friend who's learning English too.
We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep speaking, keep learning.